there, beautiful humans. Welcome to the Surviving My Story Teens podcast. I'm your host, Miss Mickey. Come hang out with us as we share our stories and work out our plot lines together. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we're diving into a topic that so many of us can relate to. It's the trap of comparison. It's something that can hit especially hard during the teenage years, but honestly, even as a grown woman, it's still something that I struggle with too. I'm really excited to have my friend Immy here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
So I met Immy probably almost a year ago. We go to the same church, and she's really involved in the youth group. So I'm so excited for her to be here and excited to hear her thoughts and experiences. So let's get into it. Hey, Immy, how's it going today?
Pretty good.
Good. Okay, so let's just start with the basics. So when did you first notice yourself starting to compare yourself to others?
I would say, I feel like it's kind of been like a natural thing. It kind of became like, it started when I was really young. And I didn't really notice it. I feel like it was more of like something that I would just do without really being like, oh, like I'm doing that. And then I feel like as I got older, I really started doing it more. And I think my parents were the ones that kind of said something to me. They're like, you kind of need to stop doing that. Like, you know, like, and kind of said something. And I was like, oh, like, is this not okay? Like, am I really doing this?
So was there a specific situation that kind of made you aware of it or made your parents aware of it to tell you?
I don't know. Maybe just like, I guess like if I were to want something and say maybe, I don't know, just like, not really. I can't think of like an actual time.
Like you wanted things that other people had?
Yeah, I would say that. Like if I wanted something, and obviously they would ask me like, sometimes it would be like, oh, well, where'd you get that idea, you know, type of thing. And it would be like, is it because like someone else has it? And it's like whatever's kind of trending, they would kind of pick up on like, oh, you want it because like, you know.
Yeah, because somebody else has it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, social media seems to play a huge role in comparison these days. So has scrolling through platforms like Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, like has that affected the way that you see yourself at all?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I'm not on it as much anymore, but when I was like, when I saw a girl who had something or who looked a certain way and I was like, oh, like, I wish I had that or I wish I looked like that. Like, I feel like that really did have a big effect just on me and the way that I viewed myself. Yeah, I feel like it really did. It was just on any social media platform. It could be anything. Even like if I'm Snapchat, for example, if you're snapping your friends and I send them a photo and they send me back, like, you know, a photo, like even with just like friends, it could happen just seeing them or just seeing them with other people. It could be anything.
And what do you think about like the filters? So that's a trap that I get into is now I feel like it's hard for me to post a picture without some kind of filter on it because everybody just looks so perfect, whatever they post.
Yeah, that was a really big thing. When I was like, I think maybe 12 years old, I had Snapchat and I would get on it and I would put a filter pretty much on every picture I took. It was just like, it was crazy. And my mom would actually tell me, like, because she knew, she'd be like, Immy, like, you don't need to be like putting those filters on because you're making it like, when you would take them off, like, then you're like, whoa, like, I don't look like that. Like, what the heck? So then I started doing like, you know, the goofy ones obviously and stuff. But like, I feel like anytime I would put a filter on that made me look prettier in my head and I would look and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I wish I looked like that. Like, you know, and then I would take it off and it really just, it was crazy the impact it had just on me. Like I just felt myself really sink in the moment. Yeah. I feel like it was just, yeah.
And honestly, the Snapchat filters, you don't even look like a human. Half the time. I can always tell when it's a Snapchat filter. They're just not realistic at all. Okay, so do you feel like comparison is more intense when it comes to appearance, academics or social status? Or is it like a mix of everything?
I feel like for me, like it depends on who you are, but for me, it's like academics is probably at the bottom for me. I feel actually as you get older, I'm a junior right now, so like as I've gotten older, it's become more of a thing because I'm like I'm about to graduate, and I'm like, oh well, she's probably gonna be the valedictorian, she's probably gonna be a salutatorian, she's and then I'm like, oh well, am I gonna be able to do that? Like she's so much smarter than me. Like, am I gonna have that opportunity? So I feel like it's become more of a thing now that I'm about to graduate, like this like next year. But appearance, like I feel like it's a mix of everything, but it is like stacked. Like it's just like in a certain order for it just depends on who you are. But appearance, like that is a huge thing. Just like even just walking by someone, it's like so easy for me to just be like, oh, like and just see that. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it just takes a second for you to clock them and already have a thought in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the listener, for y'all's information, Immy goes to the same school that our kids go to right now. And those of you who know me know that I have mixed race children. So our children are biracial, half black, half white. And Immy's biracial also. Yep. Now, listen, the school that they go to, it's a great school, but it's really, really white. Mm-hmm. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm white. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it presents specific challenges, does it not? Like, with comparison specifically?
Oh, yes, for sure. So specifically, my freshman year, I like had never dealt with racism before, actually. But and like I started going to this school in 6th grade, so it was kind of like I didn't even see it as anything. Like I was going to public school before, like, and transferred over, and I'm like, okay, like this school is cool. Like I didn't even realize like that I was like one of the only, like literally probably the only black person in my grade at the time. Wow. Actually, yeah. So I was like, I didn't really recognize that. I was just kind of going, But start of freshman year, I started to deal with racism. I think like I got called a monkey, actually.
Oh yeah, my
one time.
gosh.
So
I hate that.
Yeah, and it was crazy. I did not know what that meant. I was like, what? And so I told one of my friends, and she was like, Immy, like that's not okay. Like you need to go tell somebody. Like that's what that means. And I'm like, no, like what? And she's like, it's like they're literally calling you monkey because you're of your race and stuff. And I was like, oh, like what? Like that's not okay. Like that's not cool. Like what? And I never dealt with that before. Like I was like, I'm mixed, so what? Like that's cool. Like, yeah. Like no one's ever put me down because I was mixed. And so, like stuff like that happened. And so I feel like I compared myself because I was like to others because I'm like, well, how do I get treated if I wasn't, Sure. And it was like, well, they're getting treated better than I am because it was true. Some people were legit like just they didn't like me and they treated me a certain way because of my race. And I mean, I had people just making monkey noises at me in the hallways.
Oh
Didn't even
gosh.
Yeah, didn't even know
horrible.
You should be in the field. You're like all this stuff. Like, why are you here? And I'm like, wow, like, and it just started to build up. So it was crazy, but
I was a teacher in Texas for 5 years, and it was a really small community. And so there was things like that would happen there, and it would make me so mad. Mm-hmm. And I had a rule in my class that was like, no slurs allowed, no chances. If you say anything, and it wasn't just race, but any category. It was just automatic, like go to the principal's office. Mm-hmm. But I also found that a lot of people just didn't know what they were doing was racist. But then my problem was once they knew, if you still do it, now we have a problem.
Right. Yeah.
So just like the monkey thing, not everybody knew where that originated, but I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you where this comes from. And then now, if you're still making monkey noises in the hall, now me and you are going to have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, okay. So what about, okay, so that's an instance of, this like racially charged behavior. But in terms of comparison, there are students I've had and friends that I've had who often talk about things like wanting to straighten their hair or wanting to, trying to like embrace some of the differences of being mixed race, or people feeling entitled, like they want to like touch your hair and they want to, without thinking anything of it. Like, have you experienced any of that?
Oh yeah, when I was in elementary school even, like I was super young and I was like I just wished that I had straight hair literally every day. It was such a bad struggle. Like I didn't even realize I was going to like come to a point where I was like, wow, like I really dealt with that, cuz that is such a real thing for girls who have curly hair
Yeah.
or like have or anything but straight hair. They just really want like straight hair, and it's just like I straightened my hair a lot, but my mom, like she knew, she was like, she wasn't gonna let me do that. Like she was like, you need to embrace your hair, and which I really love that she did that for me. But like as I got older, like I've gotten older and I love my hair so much. Like I've really embraced it. I actually
Guys,
really
you cannot see her, but she has the best curl
so much.
pattern.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, like I really just, I don't know. I try not to straighten it anymore as much because I really just, I mean, my dead ends too, like not even, like, but yeah, so I try not to anymore. I kind of just embrace my curls, but I definitely did struggle with that. I would look at just like other girls who had straight hair and I'd be like, I really wish that I had that. Like that's,
Absolutely. Okay, so you're saying like academics is probably the lowest on the list for the most part, and you've dealt with the parents, but have kind of come to embrace all that is you now. What about social status?
Ooh.
Like, because our kids, okay, so Immy and my kids, so they go to a private school, so I know that there's people there that have all kinds of money. So does that come into play with comparison at all?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I struggle with this a lot. I feel like because a lot of my friends are actually like they have a lot of money. And so it's like honestly in my friend group, like that's a whole nother thing. But like just seeing other people that have money show up to school, like at our school we have uniforms, and so like we can't really like dress, which honestly for someone who like me who doesn't have like as much money as some of them, it's kind of a nice thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It can be annoying, but it's kind of a nice thing because like I don't have to worry about that as much. But like something that's popular at our school is like the shoes that you have.
Yeah.
If you have nice shoes, like you're up there.
Because it's one of your only forms of self-expression, I feel like, at that school, which I'm glad that they do. I mean, can you imagine everyone wearing loafers?
Right.
Oh,
gosh.
But I bet that becomes like a status symbol.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like if they have nice shoes, then you're like, oh, they must have good money too. And like some people, you just know that they have good money. Some talk about it, some don't, and some you just know. But like, yeah, when you like, I look at certain people, like if you have money, you get looked at a certain way. If you don't, like, I know some people at my school, like they think I have money because like I have certain things, whatever. And so like I know like somebody had said one day, they're like, oh, well, Emmy has money. Like I know she's like rich, whatever. And like obviously I wasn't gonna deny it, but I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just like, but it felt good in that moment to like
be part of that group.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, yeah, like okay, like but like I know like I compare myself a lot to people who do have money because I know like it's just like if they show up with something nice, even after Christmas, like after Christmas break, coming back, and I'm like, okay, like it's just hard. So
I think that has always been the hardest probably category for me to be empathetic to. Like, I understand like whether you have money or not, people are people, everybody's got issues. But because I didn't grow up with a lot of money, when people have a lot of money, then sometimes it's hard for me to see the struggle. I always want to say, what do you know? Like, you can have everything you want. But I know that that's not everything.
Right.
And I've learned that over the years. But it took me a while to realize, the problems are universal, really, that regardless of how much money you have. Maybe you have nicer shoes, but it doesn't mean your life's all together and perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you think comparison impacts your friendships? Like, have you ever felt tension or jealousy of your friends, or has being jealous of your friends ever put a tension between the two of you?
Yes, I kind of touched on this a little bit. I guess I brought up friends, but like, yeah, like even like I said, my friends having money, like some of my friends have more money than me, and they get things that I can't get. And so it's really hard when they get those things to celebrate them or to be like, oh, like that's nice, like you know. I'm kind of just like, oh, like sometimes I even see myself being like, oh, well, like that's not even, those aren't that nice, like, or that's not really that good. Like, I mean,
Trying to
why would you
downplay
get
it.
that? Yeah, like you kind of just start like just just like hashing what they got for like just because like you want it, but you just like you're like no, like you're trying to act like you don't. But yeah, so I feel like it does, and it has brought tension. Even something that isn't like money related, is like getting a role in a play or getting the varsity spot on the team. That has played like a really big role in my friend groups as well, because all of my friends pretty much play sports. And so I feel like between all of us, if one of us gets a varsity spot or one of us, succeeds in something that the other doesn't, it's really like, especially, it's just like, it's a really big thing, and it really does cause a lot of tension.
That probably comes in to play a lot in your junior year or sophomore year, because that's when it splits up. They may pull somebody for varsity, but not everybody's going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard. Especially when you have like I have like a little bit of a bigger friend group, and so when there's like one of us goes up and then there's other ones down there that are just like, and then it causes like a division where it's like, well, because she's up there, like we're gonna be down here, like like, oh well, you're over there, like and it's like there's like a separation that starts to happen, and it's kind of sad. How that can happen, and I find myself like doing that a lot, and sometimes on the other side of it, like I'm on the higher up, well, like what's considered the higher up, whatever, but like and my friends are down there, and I do like I'm like, well, it's nice in the moment, and I know how they feel, but like so.
Well, it feels like an honor, I'm sure, to get picked to play up, but then when you have the social fallout after that, sometimes it may not feel as worth it in the moment. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure to have the perfect life. Now, a lot of this happens online. People talk about the highlight reels. You're never posting when you're like sad and lonely, in your room. You're always posting like the party or the good times. But honestly, even in real life, presenting, there's kind of this pressure to come across like you have it all together or to be perfect. So do you feel like you have to present yourself in a certain way to measure up?
Yes. I feel like even just going to school every day, I have to make sure I'm put together, and I'm not like, I'm not going to walk out of the house looking like I do when I get up out of bed. Like, I'm going to get myself together, but like, like I still feel like I have to be like, okay, I have to look like I'm put together. Like I wasn't just, crying or like, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Even that, like,
Girl, I used to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning.
Really?
To do the full routine. Like
I don't know if I'm that committed.
Like to go to high school or whatever. Yeah. Listen, you can look at pictures and you're like, really? Like you woke up, because I don't see it. But
oh my gosh,
But I mean, I wouldn't even go check the mail without makeup on for the longest. And now I'm driving up in the carpool line with my pajama pants and house shoes on.
That's funny.
Okay, so do you feel less pressure to be perfect? Do you feel like you've worked through some of that now? Or do you still feel like you have to be presentable at a certain level before you walk out the house?
I feel like it comes to a certain point, like I realize like I can still make sure I look good without like, doing it for the wrong reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
make sure that I'm doing it because I just want to look presentable that day in a way like that is like just look put together, not because I want to make sure, oh, well, I want to make sure that they think this of me. I want to make sure,
Right, and not to impress people. And I think that's important too, because I know people who want to, once they kind of go through this, they want to take a stand and like not wear makeup at all or not. But I think if you're doing it for the right reasons, or if you just enjoy doing it, or if it's like a creative expression or something, okay, cool. Like, wear makeup. But if you're trying to like hide who you really are, or you feel like I can't measure up if I don't have this full face on, then that's where you get into the comparison problems.
Right.
Okay, so we touched on this a little bit with the filter, saying you felt bad when you took the filter off.
Yep.
But have you had that moment where you feel like your confidence and your sense of self-worth was really affected?
Yeah, I feel like kind of just any time I would compare myself and then kind of quickly realize I didn't have what that person had, or I didn't look the way that they looked, or I wasn't where they were at in life. I just feel like kind of realizing that has put me in a low spot before. Any thoughts like that kind of just make me kind of, sink like really far down. But honestly, now, like that's how it used to be, but now I feel like it's gotten a lot better. As I've grown closer to God, I feel like he's in my mind now. More obviously, he's in my head. So like his thoughts and his like the things that he says about me are in there more. So in
That's
the questions
awesome,
that I
yeah.
need to, so it's like when those things do come up where I do feel like I'm going down into that, like, they kind of just pop in and I'm like, okay, wait. And then it kind of pulls me back out. It's like, okay, wait, like he says this,
Absolutely.
like yeah.
Now, how did you get to that point?
So the summer before I started my freshman year, I went to a church camp, like a youth camp retreat. And I feel like that's when I really started. I was like, okay, like I'm going to pursue God on my own. Like I really want this, which is like, I was like 15 years old. I got saved like as younger, but I really started to pursue him at like 15. And my freshman year was really rocky. There was a lot of just like, oh, there's so many things that happen. But I remember one specific day, I like had a really bad day. I was crying in the car. My mom had picked me up and I was talking to her, telling her what happened. And she was like, okay, Immy, like we talked for a while and she was like, I want you to go inside and I want you to look up what God says about you and who your identity is in. And I want you to study it and read over it. And I want you to look up, because I had never really looked it up before. I had never really like studied that scripture before and really kind of just like was like, okay, like he says this, And so I went in, I sat on the couch, I got my notebook out and I started writing down everything that he says about me and how my identity is in Christ. And I feel like that's when that like I really was just
Kinda
like
clicked.
yeah, it was like, okay.
Do you remember what some of those things were that you studied
Oh,
that
yeah.
were significant?
Yes, I remember. I feel like a big thing is that I'm chosen. Like he literally chose me, and also like he made me, like he knew me before. Like, you know what I'm saying? He knew
Yeah.
every little thing about me, and he was like, okay, Immy, like I want her to have these dimples, and I want her to have the curly hair, and I want her to have like, just all these things, and he made every little thing about me, and like so he chose me, and he wants me to be like who I am, and that's just like thinking about that is it really gets me like,
Yeah.
excited and just
I love
like,
that verse where it talks about him weaving us in our mother's womb. Every part of us is on purpose.
yes.
And that's a really beautiful thing. So finally, what advice would you give other teen girls who feel trapped in comparison? What has helped you to break free from that mindset?
I would just say, so this is gonna be kind of like a longer thought, but I read this devotional and it said that there is no win in comparison.
Good.
So like we might think that so like for example, when you're looking at another girl, let's say, and you're like, oh well, like she's just like smarter and like funnier than I am, like gosh, like I wish I had that, like and that kind of happens, and then we're like, oh, like we're feeling down, and it's like, oh, we just like that feels like a loss to us. But then there's like when we feel like, oh well, maybe if she just would have ate healthier and worked out more, like then she would be as skinny as I am, or like that, and then that feels like a win, and we bring ourselves out on top. And so it's like, but that way, the first way we look at it, oh well, she's funnier and smarter, that brings us down to like a low sense of self-worth, and just like, just all of these low confidence. But then when we're looking at it as like we're higher and like, oh well, we're better than them, that brings pride and arrogance. And so I feel like that's like, it's not really a win, it's kind of a lose-lose situation.
I've always thought about it as I'm losing. Like if I'm comparing myself to others, I feel like I'm losing. But you're right, it goes both ways. And you can also, if you feel inferior with one person, so many times we find somebody else that we feel like we have it better than. Try to make ourselves feel better. That's good.
And I feel like also the worst the part is that we start to take joy in others' pain. I feel like that's something that I struggle with so much. Was like when I started to compare and I started to get jealous, I started to be like, oh, well, this person, like so-and-so, like this happened to her. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks face to face. But then in the inside, I'm really feeling like, oh, yes, like she finally went through,
Yeah,
and
like
that
she gets like cut from the team, or she like hurts her ankle on a volleyball game and now she can't play. And you're like, all right, well,
and it's so
guess
bad.
It doesn't matter if she's on varsity now. Absolutely.
Right. It's such a bad thing, and I'm like, that is like the worst. It really is just like really bad.
Because that's ugly, but it's very human. But if we were trying to be our best selves, that's not helping us to be better in any way. Wow, that's really good. So then what advice would you give in order to stop that cycle?
I would just say, instead of trying to be someone else, instead of looking at other people and wishing that you had what they had, just focus on who you are and who God made you to be, because the more that you're focused on like someone else's life and trying to live their life the way that they do, you're not going to walk in the life that God made for you.
I think you come across, maybe inauthentic is the best word. If you're trying to have the same sense of humor as this other girl, but you can't pull off that joke because it's not your personality.
Right.
Or you're trying to like straighten your hair, silky smooth, but then it just comes out like a big frizz. Because that's not how God made your hair. And when you try to act like other people, first of all, it probably doesn't come out as well. But second of all, even if people do respond well to you and they really like you, you don't really know if they're liking you or just the person that you're pretending to be.
And then we have to continue to be that person because we're like, oh, well, we're already here now. Like, why go back to my own self? Because,
And I think it just limits the amount of love or belonging that you are able to feel, because how can you feel like you really belong when you're not being yourself? All right. Well, that's so good. Thank you for being so honest with us today. Is there any last final thoughts that you want to leave us with today?
I would just say, don't try to find joy in being someone else, because true joy comes from Jesus, and his joy lasts forever. And finding joy and trying to be someone else doesn't. It's just like going to, alcohol or drugs or an addiction or something. Like, you try to find what will ease your pain in the moment. And it does in the moment, but then it doesn't. You just have to keep doing it over and over again. It's just like going to try to be someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
I think so many girls listening right now are going to feel encouraged and seen by what you've shared. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Yes, of course. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for joining me on this chapter of Surviving My Story Teens. Hope you're feeling encouraged and reminded that no matter what is happening in your story right now, God is still writing something beautiful. If you want to dive deeper into today's topic or connect with me, be sure to visit my social media channels for more content, encouragement, and conversations. I'd love to hear from you and walk alongside you in your journey. And don't forget to tune in next time for another episode where we'll uncover more about living the story God has written for you with confidence, faith, and purpose. Until then, keep trusting the author and embracing the beauty of your story. You were made for an extraordinary ending.